Welcome, dear Thrivers, to another Thriver Talk where we explore the real path to healing, one that focuses not on the narcissist, but on taking back our power to heal from the inside out. The Thriver Way is all about stepping into our true selves, releasing trauma, and accelerating recovery in ways that are often far faster and more profound than many thought possible. Because it's not just about surviving, it's about thriving, rising from the ashes, no matter how insurmountable things may have felt in the midst of trauma. Today's story is about finding hope and healing when everything seems broken and impossible to overcome. If you or someone you love is still trapped in the throes of narcissistic abuse and struggling to find a way up and out, please know there is a way. Before I introduce my lovely Thriver guest, I would love to ask for your help in spreading the important message of Thriver Recovery. If this interview resonates with you, please take a moment to like this video, leave a comment with your thoughts, and share it with anyone who might benefit from hearing Karen's story. And also, we would love to invite you into our wonderful Thriver community where you receive ongoing support, tools, and guidance to heal for real. To join us, simply write NLN, capital NLN for Nancy, in the comments to sign up for the Thriver Life community, our TLC free newsletter. And just before we start, if you too don't wish to merely survive narcissistic abuse, but want to claim your true soul's destiny to thrive, please write "Thrive On" in the comments. Today, I'm speaking with Karen. Welcome, Karen. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Karen has an important message to share, and I hope her story can inspire you, especially if you've ever felt defeated or believed that your breakdown is too difficult to overcome after experiencing narcissistic abuse. So let's dive straight in, Karen. So, Karen, who was the narcissist in your life?
Oh, probably there was a few of them. I'd say from my father through to his family as well. A lot of members of his family were quite narcissistically behaved. Yes, most definitely.
So, so what was narcissistic abuse like for you? What did you experience in that?
More likely to be mean than kind. More likely to say something cutting. Yes, it certainly wasn't a place to become a confident person. You learned very quickly to avoid and be off somewhere else. Yeah, wasn't very pleasant.
So how long did so this was since childhood, like
Pretty
your
much
whole...
since childhood. By the time really started to become an issue at 16. I was already very highly anxious at 16 years old and got into the workforce. And then by the time I was 24, I was seriously depressed, crying into my coffee before going to work. Yeah, it was not a pleasant life that I was having. I was a sad, sad girl. And I actually left my hometown and went traveling, thinking that I might be able to find something that way. Met my husband on that trip, and we married 5 years later. And it was probably, when I was about 35, I started thinking, man, I'm just repeating things here. There was a lot of bad behavior on my part. I was very reactive, very hot temper, very bad temper. And that's made me suffer in relationships because people basically ran away. And I just wanted to be loved and with someone. And I wasn't able to because I was having these meltdowns from my anxiety. So by the time it came to a head and my husband and I were just about to break up, I started searching for things to fix myself. Self-help. Yeah, so, and that's when I came across you.
And I think this is really interesting, Karen, because a lot of people only focus outwards
Mm-hmm.
and say, this happened to me and that happened to me. And, I know a little bit about your story and your childhood and, having experiences whereby you don't feel loved and you don't feel
No.
accepted and you don't feel seen and heard.
Yep.
And exactly. And you kind of just got to try and cope with what you have.
Which
And
wasn't much.
totally not much.
Mm.
But what's, awesome is that you had enough self-reflection to say, well, there's something going on with me.
I
And
think
the
it was my
anxiety,
children. I think
yeah,
that was the
you go.
trigger. I didn't want to do that to my children.
Mm, I
So I
love that.
needed to change because I was starting to become like them. Like in my family of origin, I was starting to, yeah, I was not well behaved. I was unpleasant to be around. But mainly because I was in pain and I was so reactive that, yeah, there was a lot of yelling. And then, of course, you've got the guilt and the shame after you've done yelling. And then you're sensitive again, aren't you? Because you're still sort of going through it. It's a loop from hell, I called it.
And this is so true. Hurt people hurt people.
Mm,
And when we've
absolutely.
been traumatized and we're anxious, then we act it out. And this
Yep.
is beautiful that you owned that and that you looked at that, because a lot of victims, don't want to. And then there's no healing in not wanting to look at this. So, what symptoms did you experience as a result of the abuse, and how severe was your breakdown?
Pretty bad. Felt like I was plugged into a 240 volt. Yeah, just like hair on end. And I thought to myself, I've got to do something, or I'm just going to check myself into hospital and get a mental health assessment because this is not right. I'm just in despair. I'm distraught. I'm in tears daily, having meltdowns, yelling at my kids, yelling at my husband, and just no relief at all, just in absolute, just so much pain, physically, mentally, emotionally. Something had to change. Something had to change.
Wow.
Mm.
Wow. Was it anything that kind of brought it on, or was it just progressive?
Oh, just my shame at how I was behaving. Just,
Mm.
I couldn't. It was what I was programmed to do from, the narcissistic family members that used to think it was sport to say something nasty to Karen and get her to react and then blame it on her because she's so abusive because she goes off like a cracker. Do you know what I mean? Like, yeah, so all that was they'd focus on was my bad behaviour then. It was never to do with their bad behaviour that started the whole ruckus in the first place.
Wow. And isn't
Mm,
that true? I think
mm.
there's two types of people, Karen, that get with narcissists, and there's one that, are more, and God love them, more meek and mild, and they can kind of deal with it and they internalize it. And there's people like you and I who, really come back with both barrels. And I
Oh,
used to do that a lot too. So I relate a lot to what you're saying. Yeah, I really, really do. Wow. Okay. So when did you realize that all of this was to do with narcissistic abuse?
probably from watching your videos. I'd never really heard of narcissism except for the Greek tale, and that's about it. But going into that and sort of nodding, going, oh yeah, that's such and such, that's such and such, and going, okay, yeah, and then finding out really that it wasn't my fault. I was just a kid. So that was really nice to learn that. And yeah, and then it's learning the tools to sort of remain calm, not react, respond, that not allowing
We,
yourself to lose yourself, in
yeah, and we're
temper,
gonna we're
remain
gonna talk
calm.
about that. Yeah,
Mm,
we're definitely going to talk about that. And it is a relief when I remember the first time I went through the list of narc abuse, because you do think it's you, and
mm.
well, and it's your normal, and you just, of course, you're lost in all of the gaslighting, the projection, and thinking it's your fault, and being heavily triggered. Like, it feels so violating, but then you're told you're wrong and all that stuff. And when you go through the checklist, it's like, oh my God, this is a disorder. Thank goodness.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's not nice. It's certainly done some damage in my life, and I'm just starting to get myself out of it now. And needed help to do that.
So good. So what were you Googling when you discovered my work? How did that happen?
I think it was a combination of, I'm an adult, why am I having tantrums? Self-help, emotional, too emotional. How can I stop yelling at my children? Stuff like that, I suppose it was. And it just, it came up with quite a few things, and read it all. And so that's when I found you as well.
Wow, I didn't even know my searches touched on that stuff. But I guess, Karen, you must have gone through this thing where you thought, well, maybe I'm the narcissist.
Yes, absolutely. Which was not nice to feel that, but I didn't think I was a narcissist. I thought that I had some behavioural issues, definitely, from the way I was treated as a child, and I wanted them to stop, because I didn't want that. I didn't want to do that to my children and my husband and myself, because I just hated the feeling afterwards. I'd feel so guilty and so shameful, and I just wanted to understand why. Why do I behave like this? Why do I it's codependency now. I know, it's trying to manipulate people into doing what you think they should be doing so that you don't die. Do you know what I mean? Like, you feel like you're going to die if they don't do X, Y, Z. So it was unlearning that as well, and allowing people just to do what they want to do and watch that, become an observer of life instead of trying to manipulate it.
So true. Your honesty and your integrity is so refreshing, because it really, well, it really is. You've just really nailed that. And I wrote a long time ago, and then I've done some videos on, codependency and narcissism, two sides of the same coin, because it all comes from inner trauma.
Yep.
And that's how we get in this deadly dance with them. Beautiful. I love this. Okay, so what did you try before using NARP to heal?
Oh, I tried reading all sorts of self-help books and Googling and reading all sorts of articles. Tried some meditations, like relaxation meditations, but they're pretty boring. And being a busy mum at the time, I didn't have a great deal of time. So it was sort of after work and in between times that I was able to sort of try and get a little bit of time for myself, and try and find something that resonated with me. And despite all this, I'm getting grief from my family now. Like, my kids and my husband were giving me grief. Oh, you're psycho babble and stuff like that. Because of course I'm talking to them, spurting out everything that I was learning, and they're like, "Oh, you're psycho babble." Especially when I started putting boundaries in, they didn't like that at all. Which
So
I find
cute.
highly amusing now.
It's so funny, actually, when they start like responding with what you've taught them back to, but it's like, don't use my quantum understandings against me. That will start happening. So when you worked with NARP, how long did it take before you started to get relief?
Well, I must admit, I bought your course and then it sat there for a while, and I just degenerated, still went down, I was still spiraling. And I was pretty bad one day, and I thought, oh gosh, I've got to do something. All right, no worries. I'll sit down and I will commit to doing, because it was meditation's an hour long, you shorten one, and I'm like trying to find an hour in my day to sit down for long enough. And yeah, when you're not into self-care, you don't give yourself that time. I do now, of course, but back then, no. But yeah, I actually sat down and did it, and I think, oh yeah, how's this going to go? Anyway, after the first clearing, I was like, oh my God, this might actually work. Because it was different. Because it's one of the only meditations I've done where you have to actually focus and sit there and write down what it is that's coming into your mind, like body feelings and stuff like that, which kept me awake, because other ones I really just fell asleep in. So it was good, and it was amazing what came up. And then clearing it and the visualizing of releasing all the trauma out of your body, I actually found that my body was actually releasing physically as well while I was doing the meditation. I'm like, okay, well, this is pretty cool. Yeah, and finished the meditation an hour later and felt so much better. And I remember going out to my husband and saying, oh my God, I think this might really actually be working. I feel so much better after that. And he's like, oh, good, good. So, yeah, so I kept doing those meditations, and every time something new would come up, and I'd just release it. And it just felt so good to be able to release it. And it stands to reason, like, I hadn't even thought about pain sort of and trauma being trapped in your body until I watched your videos, and I was like, oh, well, that's common sense, isn't it? When you feel fear, your hackles rise, don't they? That's bodily. You get hurt, you cry, that's bodily. So it stands to reason that your trauma's stuck in your body, doesn't it? To me, anyway, it makes perfect sense. So, yeah, I find those meditations every time now I feel a bit tight or I'm running a bit fast. I'll get it and do the meditation, and I know I'm going to come out feeling so much better because I've released it. And I might do it for some different reason, and it surprises me what comes up during the meditation. It could be something from years ago that's, I don't know, I'll just go with it.
And that's the best way, because the body stores the wisdom and the body leads the way when we learn this way. And I was the same as you. I'd spent years thinking healing has to be logical and with information.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't until the whole quantum 180-degree turn where it's like, no, the body leads. And if we do it through the visualization and the somatic limbic self inside, well, then everything follows, which I'm so happy for you that you're having that experience after, where you hit the brick wall. Something had to happen.
Yeah, something had to change, or I was going to blow my family up, as in we were going to break up and I was going to be a single mum, and I didn't want that. And it was because of my behaviour.
And you would have been, well, it's because of the trauma that was in your body from the past that was generating that behaviour.
Absolutely. I was so reactive.
Yeah. And whether that behavior is reactivity or it's, we've got fight, flee, freeze, or fawn when we're in trauma. And, like there are people who are more softer and probably more gentle than what you and I are, who would probably, do, and I did it. I did that too, I must admit, like the fawning and the people pleasing and the, just acquiescing constantly.
Yes.
That's
until I
still
absolutely erupt in temper because I feel like I'm being taken advantage of.
Yes, and you're right. It can swing one way or the other, but it means that we're not congruent and we're not in the integrity of an authentic self because of the trauma.
Yep.
Okay, so if you were to rate like your breakdown before you were doing out of 10, like how intense was your breakdown before
10.
you started? Okay. So now if you were to rate emotionally how you feel, how the breakdown feels or trauma feels, what would you rate it out of 10 now?
Oh, how I feel now?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm 10 out of 10 now. Most days, some days, stuff happens. But most of the time, I'm very content in myself now. It's almost like I guess I was lucky as a child that I did have a safe space, so I was able to relate to that. My mum's mum was a
Right,
beautiful woman,
nice.
so she made me feel loved. So I
Yeah,
was able to turn that around and give that to myself. And I
gorgeous.
think that was so. Yeah, I guess it would be hard for people who don't have that, who've never had that, to be able to
Mm.
find that love to give to themselves and reparent themselves.
Well, I guess the thing is, yeah, you've had that experience, and just to clarify that rating, okay, kind of what I meant was like trauma-wise, what would you rate that out of 10 in your life now? Like it was a 10 out of 10. What would trauma be in your life now?
Oh, 2 or 3, I
Yeah.
think. Yeah,
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 beautiful, beautiful.
yeah,
Because, you're only short into this journey too. Like you're deciding at 50 years of age, it's your time and this is what you're doing now. So
yeah,
it's amazing. It's amazing. Yeah, just going back to the point about your grandma,
yeah,
um, and reparenting and connecting to that, which is so, so beautiful. But the thing is true, like our true parent, like source prime creator, all that is at the quantum field is love, and we are love.
yeah.
We've just been programmed and put into separation consciousness instead of unity consciousness. And
Mm-hmm,
the beautiful, interesting thing is that when we let go of the trauma and we fill up, which quantum freedom healing does, with the light of prime creator to
mm,
fill where that trauma was, we remember who we are, which is
mm.
love and unity consciousness. So we already were it anyway, and every shift gives you that. So I want people to have heart that we've had thousands of people in this community who've never known love, and abuse is
Yeah,
all they've ever known. And they've come home to loving themselves and loving others. So it really is possible. But
yeah,
that's what you connected back into. And your grandmother is from prime creator source. Like all love comes from there.
absolutely,
So
absolutely.
beautiful.
It was just easy to use her as the part of the visualization of bringing that parental love down into yourself. And
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, it's beautiful.
And
It's a
you know
beautiful
what? Whatever
feeling.
gets you there, whatever gets you there.
Yeah, and going to your sacred space and stuff like that. It's just beautiful. It's just makes you feel tender towards yourself and gentle towards yourself, which I think we need to be.
Has to start with self. We
Mm,
can't be, do, and give from a place of not being that
hmm.
person. It's
Yep.
got to all start with self. So okay, what are the specific things that have changed? Well, first of all, with your family that you
Yep.
ended up identifying they were toxic, your dad
Yes.
and other people. What's the deal with them now?
Have not been in contact with them for years, for a long
Wow.
time now. My peace, my protecting my peace became far more important than being told or asked where my sense of humour was. I decided, well, I'll take my sense of humour or my lack thereof over here. Thank you very much. And you guys can be nasty over there. I don't want any part of it. It was tough because I'd still had that hope of resolution, but I
Mm.
guess you come to that stage where you realise they're not capable of it.
Mm.
And one of my boundaries was I won't hang around people who won't apologize. Like, I understand we have conflict in life. We're not always going to agree. We're going to say words. We're going to have hot words. And I'm a great believer, and I've taught my kids this too as part of this journey. Yeah, sure, we're not always going to agree. Sometimes we're going to have an argument and we're going to say things that, in temper or in the heat of the moment that we don't mean and that are a bit mean. But we're always going to go away, calm down, then come back and say, hey, I'm sorry. I could have handled that a whole lot better.
I
Um,
love that. I love
yeah.
that. And that's
Unfortunately, my
different.
father's incapable of it.
I'm 100% with you on this. And whether, somebody is a narcissist or a sociopath or pink, an elephant or an alien, right? We all have the ability in a moment, in a trigger, to not be our best self. But the difference between somebody that we can have a relationship and we can't is somebody who's going to be humble and accountable.
Yeah.
So you're 100% correct there. I love that. And I'm the same. I have certain family members that I'm no contact with for exactly the same reasons as you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Respect for yourself. And I've always coming together with getting my values and my principles sorted out in my own head. And I'm a great believer that if the respect is no longer being served at the table, I'm getting up from the table and I'm leaving, because I don't want a part of people who have no respect for me. And if they can't discuss things maturely, well, what's the point? You're just wasting words. Might as well just shut up and walk away.
I agree. I love that. It's perfect. Yeah, my
It's
thing
easy
is,
in the end. Simple.
it is
Respect me or
simple.
have no access to me.
I was just about to say that's my thing, 100%. If you don't value me as a
Mm-hmm.
blood, soul human being,
Mm-hmm.
blood and bone and soul human being, well, then you just don't have access. It's
Yeah,
fine.
absolutely fine. I'm good with that. I don't need the
Well
snarky
done.
comments and don't need it.
Exactly. And then the thing is too, with quantum freedom healing, let go of the guilt
Yes.
and the fear of repercussions and smearing and all the stuff that normally goes on.
Mm-hmm.
Let it all go and
Mm-hmm.
go free and just stand in it with relief. I love that.
Yep.
Beautiful.
Yep. Absolutely.
So, since doing all of this shifting, what are the things that have changed in your life? So, things like relationships, health, your work. Just share some stuff about that, Karen.
Mainly my relationship with myself. Like, I'm someone now that I feel like I can look in the mirror and be proud of myself, and I don't feel that you're not worthy sort of feeling anymore. Um, I feel coming into my strength. As I get older, I'm not going to take any nonsense from anyone anymore. I'm not a little girl anymore. I'm an adult woman. Um, and I will speak up for myself now, because I've learned I've had to. I've put the power into so many other people to make me happy, keep me safe, everything like that. It's like, no, I'm in charge now. Thank you very much. And so, yeah, so work's great. I've fixed my relationship with my children, which was a little bit iffy. But we're fantastic now, and I fixed my relationship with my husband too. So I fixed my relationship with myself, and it's wonderful. We're cruising.
Love that. And
And
what
I'm
about
so
health?
relieved.
What about health?
Health, well, I'm actually starting to do some workouts, because I'm finally
Great.
making the time to get fit and get healthy again, because I used to be quite sporty as a kid, and over the years I've just not looking after myself. I've let myself get to a stage where I need to turn it around and do something about it before I actually get sick, because I'm as healthy as the only thing that is my issue is that I'm overweight. So we're going to deal with that next. I've already got the strength bands here.
That's
So
beautiful. What an
yeah,
amazing journey. And, when we start getting better on the inside, like emotionally, vibrationally, energetically,
yeah,
then everything starts to follow.
yeah. Well, I actually think that this is the protection that I required. So now I don't need it. So it's going. It'll be gone. Give me a year.
We see so many people drop weight once they start doing quantum
Mm.
freedom healing for exactly the reason that you said.
Mm-hmm.
And, once you feel less toxic on the inside, you just
Yep.
make heaps better choices with the things that you put in your mouth, on the outside.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Yep. Absolutely. And you just become, I don't know, more determined to look after yourself, and I don't know whether it's just getting older and more mature, but I feel in charge of my life, that I
Like
can decide
becoming,
what's happening.
like becoming an adult, isn't it?
Yeah, finally grown up. Fancy that. So if anyone can do it, if I can do it, anyone can do it.
I love, and I'm sure even no matter how bad it was, you were probably cracking jokes and laughing through it anyway.
Oh goodness me. I think I've got more of a sense of humour now, because I just think I'm bomb proof now. Nothing, just whatever, you know. Yeah, I'm bomb proof. Where once upon a time I'd burst into tears if I heard an ambulance or a siren. I was that sort of freaked out, space cadet. Now it's just like, nothing bothers me, mate. Nothing bothers me. And if something nasty does happen in my life, I'm confident that I've got the tools to deal with it. I'm not going to fall apart.
Perfect.
Mm.
So, Karen, what words of wisdom do you have for anybody watching this Thriver Talk?
Do the work. Do the work. You're worth it. And coming out the other side is brilliant. It's relief from the pain. It's actually liking yourself, and loving yourself and looking after yourself and being in charge of your own destiny and creating a life that you want. Like, I've sat down and I said, oh, what do I like doing? I like being creative. So I'm going to be creative. So I've gone out and I've learned all different stuff, and I've done all different crafts, and I just love it. Just love it, love it, love it. Doesn't matter what it is. I just love it. Got to be creative. It brings me joy.
And you're creating your own business around that too.
Oh yeah, my t-shirts. I do tie-dye t-shirts. Yeah, but I'm already diversified. I've been doing that a few years, and it's great fun, and it's going quite well. Got a few outlets happening, and they're quite
Wow,
popular. Yeah, yeah, because I screen print them as well. So, but
that's
I'm also
amazing.
into knitting, because my mum's mum, was a brilliant knitter, and she taught me as a young teenager to knit. So I've relearned to knit, because she died when I was in a car accident a week before my 17th birthday. So
Oh
in
gosh.
amongst all that, there was grief. So it was a fun time, but yeah. So I'm back into knitting, and I love luxury yarn, silk and
Oh,
merino blend.
beautiful.
Bamboo and merino blend, and
Oh, it sounds gorgeous.
make little baby socks and little beanies and rugs and blankets and stuff like that. So
You're
that brings
excited
me
about
joy.
it.
It makes me feel close to my grandma too when I'm sitting there knitting.
How gorgeous. That
Mm.
is so, so beautiful. Well, Karen, thank you for sharing your story. And my greatest hope is that it inspires somebody out there who is ready to be humble and honest and say, I've hit a brick wall and enough is enough. And,
Hmm.
this is a product of my childhood.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And you've done an amazing job. So, thank you, Karen, for coming on. And I just want to remind everybody out there, if you know somebody who's really battling, please share this. Just really raw and honest and beautiful Australian Thriver talk. You're a fellow Queenslander like I am.
Yeah. Yeah. Aussie as they come, mate.
And we say it how it is. It's just really beautiful. So for our American and UK and our Europe people watching, I hope you've enjoyed a little bit of, Central Queensland, Australia with Karen. It's just been really special. So thank you again. And I hope you enjoyed this Thriver Talk, everybody. And please remember, Keep smiling, keep healing, keep thriving, because there's nothing else to do, and thrive on. Lots of love. Bye-bye, Karen.
See ya. Bye.
Bye-bye, everybody.